If someone handed you $100,000 right now, cash, sitting in your bank account, what would you actually do with it in Canada in 2026? Would you buy a house? Would you invest it? Would you start a business? Or would you freeze up and let it sit there losing value to inflation while you scroll TikTok trying to figure out what smart people do with money like this? Because here is the truth nobody tells you. $100,000 can either change the entire trajectory of your life, or it can quietly disappear in 3 years and you will not even be able to explain where it went. Stick around, because by the end of this video you will know exactly what your options really are, what the smart money does, and what most people get completely wrong. So let us set the stage. It is 2026. Interest rates have shifted, housing prices in most Canadian cities are still brutal, and the cost of living has everyone stressed. But somehow you have $100,000. Maybe you saved it. Maybe you inherited it. Maybe you sold something. It does not matter how you got it. What matters is what happens next, because the decisions you make in the first few months with a sum like this usually determine whether it grows into something life-changing or slowly bleeds out. Let us start with the option almost every Canadian thinks of first: real estate. With $100,000, you are not buying a house outright in Toronto or Vancouver, but you are absolutely in down payment territory almost anywhere else in the country. In many mid-sized cities, $100,000 can cover 20% down on a $500,000 property, which means you skip mortgage default insurance entirely and your monthly payments drop significantly. That is a real path to owning a home, building equity, and eventually having a paid-off asset instead of paying rent forever. But here is the catch nobody puts in the thumbnail. Owning property also means closing costs, land transfer tax, maintenance, property tax, and the fact that your money becomes illiquid. If life throws you a curveball, you cannot just sell a bedroom to cover an emergency. Real estate is powerful, but it is not automatically the right move for everyone, especially if you are not planning to stay in one place for at least 5 years. Now let us talk about the option that financial advisors will not shut up about, and for good reason: investing through registered accounts. In Canada, your first stop should almost always be your tax-free savings account and your registered retirement savings plan. As of 2026, the annual TFSA contribution limit is $7,000, and if you were eligible since the program started in 2009 and never contributed, your total available room could be around $109,000. That means, depending on your personal contribution history, you could potentially shelter a huge chunk, or even all, of that $100,000 from taxes on growth and withdrawals for the rest of your life. Put that money into a diversified portfolio of index funds, let it compound for 20 or 30 years, and you are not just saving money, you are building generational wealth without paying a cent of tax on the gains when you take it out. Your RRSP works a bit differently. It gives you a tax deduction now and grows tax-deferred until retirement, which is incredibly useful if you are in a high-income bracket and expect to be in a lower one later. The real move that smart Canadians make with a lump sum like this is not choosing one account, it is strategically splitting the money between TFSA and RRSP contribution room based on their income and their goals. But maybe investing in the stock market feels too slow for you. Maybe you are the type of person who wants to build something with your own hands. That brings us to starting a business. $100,000 is genuinely enough seed capital to launch a serious small business in Canada, whether that is an e-commerce brand, a local service company, a food business, or a digital agency. You could use it for inventory, equipment, marketing, or simply as a cushion so you can quit your job and give yourself 12 to 18 months to make something work without panicking about rent. The upside here is uncapped. A business can return far more than the stock market ever could. But let us be honest with each other for a second, most businesses fail, and unlike a diversified index fund, putting $100,000 into a single business idea is concentrated risk. If you go this route, the smart money treats it like a calculated bet, not a lottery ticket, meaning you separate personal emergency savings from business capital and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. There is also a much less exciting but incredibly important option, and that is simply paying off debt. If you are carrying credit card debt, a car loan, or high-interest lines of credit, using a chunk of that $100,000 to eliminate that debt is mathematically one of the best moves you can make, because you are essentially guaranteeing yourself a return equal to whatever interest rate you were paying. Nobody makes exciting content about paying off a 19% credit card, but doing that with your windfall is often smarter than any investment strategy on this list. Now, what if you are risk-averse and just want your money safe while it still grows? Guaranteed investment certificates and high-interest savings accounts became a lot more attractive over the past few years, and in 2026 they still offer a reliable, low-risk way to earn interest on cash you might need access to soon. This is not the path to getting rich, but it is the path to not losing purchasing power while you figure out your next move, and it is a smart temporary parking spot if you just received the money and have not decided what to do yet. Here is what the smartest approach actually looks like when you combine all of this. Instead of picking one lane, most financially savvy Canadians with a lump sum like $100,000 build a plan. Something like this. Keep 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-interest savings account as your emergency fund. Pay off any high-interest debt immediately, because that is a guaranteed win. Max out available TFSA and RRSP contribution room with a diversified low-cost index fund portfolio for long-term growth. And if there is anything left, decide intentionally whether that goes toward a home down payment, a business, or simply staying invested and compounding for the next decade. The biggest mistake people make with a windfall like this is not a bad investment choice, it is indecision. They let the money sit in a checking account earning nothing while inflation eats away at it month after month, or they panic and dump it all into one hot stock or crypto trend because they saw a video promising quick riches. $100,000 is not just a number, it is leverage, it is optionality, it is a head start that most people never get. What you do in the next 90 days with that money will likely matter more than what you do with the next 5 years of your regular paycheck. So here is my question for you. If you had $100,000 sitting in your account right now, which path would you actually take, real estate, investing, business, or paying off debt? Drop your answer in the comments, because I read every single one, and if this video actually helped you think about your money differently, hit that subscribe button. That's it for today's breakdown. I'm James H. This is Canadian Finance Hub, and I'll see you in the next one.